So we're here today meeting an artist who's inspired by the out of doors. So welcome. We're excited to have our Outdoor Artists Club with us online today. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get involved in painting?
First of all, my name is Elaine Farmer. I have been painting all my life. And basically, I started when I was about 12 years old. It was out of rebellion, actually. The story goes, my mom was a pianist, and in the summer months, she had told us that we would have to do something with our days in summer. And if you didn't have anything else to do, you had to learn piano. Well, I didn't want to learn piano. So I started drawing, and she left me alone, and I just kind of fell into it from that point. So it was kind of a funny way to get into it, and I didn't realize it until much later in my adulthood that that's really what had happened. So I've been studying art all my life, basically.
And how are you inspired by the out of doors?
As a kid, and it doesn't happen a lot as much today, but we lived outdoors. We played outdoors, and I just had this connection with the woods and being outside. And so I think as a landscape artist, that's where my connection is. It goes back to childhood, really, when you think about it.
Can you tell us a little bit about the process that you go through when you're working on a painting?
Yep, especially outdoors, because the light is constantly changing. You might start at 10 in the morning. By 12 o'clock, the sun has changed everything and changed the direction of shadows. So you almost have to paint to get ready for that even. But I'll start with a quick sketch with paint on the canvas and then get right into it with the paint. Because I've been doing this for 45 years, it might not take me as long as some people. So it does take a lot of practice to get there.
What materials do you use?
I am primarily oil paints. I teach in all the subjects, and I've had the evolution of 10 years with oils when I was young, then I went to watercolors when I had kids, then pastels, then acrylic, and then now I'm back to oils. So it's been kind of an evolution of change, but oils has always been my favorite, I think.
Do you have a favorite subject matter?
I don't know if I really do, because there's just some days where I want to paint the beach, because I want to be at the beach. It transports me wherever I want to be. Most of my landscapes, though, because I am very fond of birch trees, I tend to put a birch tree in every painting, other than like seascapes where I can't wiggle one in, but very frequently I will put a birch tree in almost all my landscape pieces. So.
Tell us a little bit about the painting that you're working on right now.
Yep, the painting I'm working on now is actually a scene on the, what they call the windward side of the island. And it's probably the most picturesque, with the colored water being so aqua colored that it's mesmerizing to look at it. You wouldn't think anything could be that beautiful. And I'm actually doing a series of Hawaii paintings based on a trip that I recently took. So this one is a compilation of a few different photographs. There were some, I guess the mountains from volcanoes past, and they were in other shots that I had of that scene. And so I just kind of created my own little imaginary, or the best of, because I wanted some kind of focal points in the piece.
Unfortunately, we're not in Hawaii at the moment.
We
wish we were. We're
yes.
in beautiful Amherst, New Hampshire.
Right.
But so you have the photo that you're using as a reminder.
And as I paint outdoors, I'll often photograph the image while I'm there, but I can usually complete a painting to about 80 to 90% done out on location, and then I'll finish it up here in the studio. So having photographic reference is still important to bring back with you, if nothing else, just to remind you of objects that might be there. Because hopefully while you're out there painting, you're grabbing the true colors while you're there. That's the benefit of being outdoors and using our own eyes.
Definitely. How long does it take you to do a painting, say the size you're working on right now?
I probably have maybe 8 hours in on this, but as I tell people, it takes a lifetime because I've been doing it for so long that I know what I need to do, so it makes it a little bit easier when you practice something, just like doing a musical piece. I compare art to music very frequently because of that.
True.
Do is work small, like little miniature versions. But if you can do small versions first, then you can enlarge them. And you haven't, as I tell students, you haven't spent tons of time agonizing over detail until you get the actual drawing set the way you want it to be.
That makes a lot of sense.
So, yeah, you just have to pick something. You know, even if it's just floral and flowers. You know, I'm doing those yellow flowers, which are called stelladoras, and just to kind of get the feel of what is there. I often like to actually use like colored pencils outside. It's kind of fun to use a splash of color as you're doing these little pencil drawings, so that you can kind of get a visual of where it's going. You know, just even just little sketchy stuff like this, just to kind of get the feel of all of the yellow flowers. And like I said, it's just kind of fun if you can throw in some color on top of the graphite, even just putting it right on top of it. And then you can take that idea and paint it from there after
So that
you
helps
have
you
the
get the detail, but also
Yeah.
kind of the bigger layout.
Yeah, and
that
it
you're-
just gives you the idea, because that's really what you're trying to capture outdoors more than anything, is get the idea, get what they call the color notes. It's the color that you're actually seeing with our visual, with our iris. And just kind of play with what's there. And it doesn't have to be anything more than that. And these are quick little sketches, and like I said, colored pencils are easy and cheap enough
Yeah.
to obtain, and just throw a little.
Small sketch pad and a pencil, put it in your backpack, and head off.
I do all the time.
Explore.
Look, I have.
So if some members of our club are interested in being artists, maybe as a career in the future, what advice would you offer them?
I guess it depends on what they want to do with the arts, but understand that there are so many different areas of art that you can go into. What I do is called studio arts, but from being a museum curator to a painting restorer to a teacher to graphic design to animation, any of that fits into the arts. So I always feel that it's good to get a good solid traditional basis of knowledge down first, and then you can explore all these other types of things that you wanted to do. You know, it's just finding everyday objects. That's all it is. Just find everyday objects and just start the sketching routine.
Find the beauty in that.
Yeah, find the beauty in everything, and the more you do it, the better you get. That's really practice, practice, practice.
Great, wonderful. Thank you very much, Elaine.
Yeah, thank you very much.